Biblical with Chapman, where we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. Today in political news, I have some significant developments concerning the current trade war between the United States and China that I believe underscores the strength and foresight of President Donald Trump's leadership. So, what I want to do is break it all down for you today. Now, in a groundbreaking development, we have learned that the United States and China, they've agreed to a 90-day truce in their ongoing trade war. Both nations, they're going to dramatically reduce tariffs on each other's goods, and this signals a potential shift towards more balanced trade relations.
Now to a potential breakthrough in the U.S.-China trade war. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent today meeting in Switzerland with top Chinese officials. The first formal in-person talks between the two sides since President Trump slapped 145% tariffs on China. But the White House tonight trying to lower expectations. Here's ABC's senior White House correspondent, Selena Wang.
Tonight, high-stakes negotiations underway between the U.S. and China that could decide the fate of the global economy.
I think we're going to come back with a fair deal for both China and us.
The first meeting since President Trump imposed staggering 145% tariffs on China, dramatically reducing trade between the world's largest economies, causing slowdowns at vital U.S. shipping hubs, the number of cargo ships at the port of Los Angeles down 32%.
Retailers and large importers are telling me directly that they've all but stopped imports from China.
Trump pressed on the thousands of dock workers and truck drivers worried about their jobs due to the slowing traffic.
That means we lose less money. When you say it slowed down, that's a good thing, not a bad thing.
China had previously demanded Trump first remove the tariffs before coming to the negotiating table. Before the U.S.-China trade talks began, the president suggesting he'd be open to lowering his tariffs. Writing on social media, 80% tariff on China seems right. Trump asked if he'll be disappointed if his team comes back without a deal.
No, not at all, because we already made a great deal. We're not doing business with China right now.
And the president is headed to the Middle East on Monday for the first major foreign trip of his second term, stopping in Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar. The region has played a critical role in mediating conflicts around the world. This trip also comes as the U.S. starts another round of nuclear talks with Iran.
Selena Wang at the White House tonight. Thank you.
Here's what I want to do. I want to delve into the details and the specifics. Now, the U.S., they're going to lower its tariffs on Chinese goods from the staggering 145% down to 30%. And China, in turn, they're going to reduce their tariffs on U.S. goods from 125% down to 10%. You guys, this agreement, it's set to be implemented by Wednesday, today, and it's supposed to last for about 90 days, which during that time, further negotiations are going to take place, which means China has come to the table. So, U.S. and Chinese officials, they met in Geneva, Switzerland, and they met to talk some business. You guys, this is a good sign. This was what the whole trade war was all about. It's not just being adversarial for the sake of adversarialness. That's not what it was. This development, it wasn't just about the numbers, though. What I want you guys to take away from this is pay attention not just to Trump's strategy, but pay attention to his consistency. President Trump, he's consistently emphasized, listen, we have to have fair trade. We need to hold other nations accountable. We've been taken advantage for far too long, and the parasitic relationship between us and many of these other nations needs to come to an end. So, this move, in my opinion, it showcases and further solidifies that President Trump is thoroughly committed to protecting American interests and ensuring that our economic policies benefit the American people. That, my friends, is what you call an American first president. Barack Obama and Sleepy Joe Biden, though, they didn't give a darn about us, had no problem selling us out to other nations. All they cared about was striking deals in back rooms that benefited them. We had quid pro, what was it called? Quid, oh, that's a tongue twister. Quid pro quo Joe. right? We had quid pro quo Joe. I'm gonna try to say that 3 more times. We had quid pro quo Joe, who was a master at selling the American people out. And then we had Obama, who wasn't much better. So it's about time that America steps back into its rightful place with leadership that is putting our interests first. But what does all of this mean? Well, for one, the markets, they have responded positively to this news. The Dow Jones, the industrial average, is surged over 1,000 points. Other major indices are up. They saw significant gains. I would argue that this is the type of performance, this is the type of optimism that's a reflection of confidence in this administration's approach to trade and economic policy. But all we heard from the fake news, mainstream news media was doom and gloom. And so you need to pay attention to these things because they're going to give you insight as to the truth versus the narrative and the lie that they wanted you to believe. Now, moreover, this agreement. This agreement also included discussions on curbing a super major problem that we've been having for a very long time. Trump is out here killing two birds with one stone. The trade deal significantly dampened the flow of fentanyl from China to the United States, which is addressing a critical public health crisis that has devastated countless families across this nation. And President Trump promised that he would do something about that. Promises made, promises kept. So, while this trade truce is temporary, it does set the stage for a more comprehensive agreement in the future. So, for me, this is a testament of the power of strong leadership. When you got a big dog, an alpha male in office, he is standing firm in his negotiations. We will not bow, we will not bend unless it's a win win for the United States of America. That's how I believe Donald Trump is looking at this. And I think a lot of people, particularly on the left, they're simply not used to true leadership like this. We're used to our politicians being bought instead of truly fighting for America. So the pushback on this trade war that we were receiving from the left had more to do with their anti American hatred and their hatred and disdain for Trump and their desire to want to be a socialistic, communistic country. They hate him. They hate Donald Trump. And they don't care if hating him means hating things that are good for the country. When you are consumed with hatred in your heart, you can't even think straight. You can't even think past what's gonna be good for you in the long run. And you end up, is it how they used to say, you end up cutting off your nose to spite your face? I listen, I'm new to this old thing, but anyway, listen. As we continue to monitor these developments, I want us to remember the importance of informed citizenship. Y'all, we need to know what's going on. And sometimes you have to just trust the process. Notice I said trust the process, not put your trust in Trump, but trust the process. Just like I told you guys in my last video on this issue. Trump, as a businessman, we're dealing with a master negotiator who knows what he is doing. And so the process of him embarking upon a trade war and trying to get China to the table, it has worked. There's always going to be a level of nuance, right? Like when it comes to these types of agreements, what we can now see, we can kindly see clearly that now that the noise is settling down, I believe many of us, we are now starting to have a greater appreciation for the complexities of international relations and the impact it can have on our daily lives. I know we heard Trump say, you don't need 10 or 30 baby dolls, you only need three. And there are some people out here crashing out over the amount of baby dolls that they're able to buy when they know that buying a new baby doll was not top of mind for them. It's a silly argument and it's a silly discussion. However, I just wanted to bring this information to you. And so when more information becomes available, I'm going to give you guys an update. But for now, this is where we are regarding the current trade war and this amazing news from an amazing president who refused to back down and let China own him and punk him out. And for that, America should celebrate. But I'm curious to know, what do you guys think? Were you a little nervous with the trade war and you really just thought that we were headed down into the depths of destruction? Or if you said, you know what, I never really doubted the process. I knew it was going to be a little uncomfortable for a little bit of while, but it made sense why it needed to be done. And eventually, if something was not done, things would get progressively worse for us. But whatever side of this argument that you land on, leave me a comment down in the box below. And until next time, stay rooted, stay grounded, stay unshakable. Grace and peace.